I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Jules Sands, that is Tom Diamond, that is Vicki Ray. We're here to talk the Time Tunnel episode 6. So Tony and Doug land on a volcanic island, Croatoa, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Krakatoa.
Krakatoa.
Krakatoa. Okay. Um, really interesting. Did you guys? Here's a question for you guys. Have you ever seen the Dawkins video where the guitarist is on a volcano that is literally getting ready to erupt?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
You know it's metal when you're on top of a volcano, and you can
Yeah.
literally see the guy's shoe melting. By the way, for those who have never seen the video,
That was nuts. I totally forgot about that.
that's an
Now
awesome.
I'm gonna look that up again. Now that you said that, I'm gonna look it up after we're done.
Tom,
What?
have you seen that video?
No, I haven't. But
Oh.
I was gonna mention. I love the trees that shaked to and fro. Where when Tony and Doug were talking to the professor there, and it reminded me of Dark Shadows. And they had that at least once a week, where the tree would almost fall over. So that, but the best scene in this whole episode was when they brought Tony back to the tunnel. I love that. I love that when they brought Tony back to the tunnel.
He was like going like hyperbolically fast and in between split nanoseconds and everything else. And I was sitting there watching, waiting for them to move or to breathe. Were you guys waiting? You did. Were you waiting for them to flinch? They did really good. They did good.
Time warp.
It was definitely volcanic apocalypse meets human drama. Yeah.
The time warp. How'd you like Ellen Burstyn? That was.
I know that was a very young Ellen Burstyn. Yeah.
The builder is Ellen McRae, but didn't she go on to be in The Exorcist?
Yeah,
Ellen
Burstyn.
Burstyn.
The Exorcist. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Other than that, the
impending doom, urgency, and tension, the typical, usual for the time.
Another disaster, another Irwin Allen disaster thing.
Well, kind of as a kid at Dante's Peak or even Pompeii. So there was there's some undertones. Like I could see where Dante's Peak might, you don't know. I mean, there's a little inspiration there. And Pompeii, well, that's just, everybody knows about Pompeii. So. But it's really interesting because I've been to Pompeii. It's just wild. And I was just sitting there. I was thinking of Pompeii when I was watching this episode because you're just standing at the base of this mountain and half of it's gone. And when you walk through these places, it's just amazing. Just time just completely stood still.
What stock footage did they use for this one?
I was trying to figure that one out. I do know. I think they took it from one of the Krakatoa film. I'm pretty sure they did that one. I want to say that, what was it? Dorothy Lamour was in that. Who else was in that? But yeah.
What was it? Krakatoa what? Was the title?
It was the East of Java.
Oh, okay. Okay. From the 50s, I think.
Oh, the movie, yeah. With Dorothy Lamour, and I'm trying to think of who else was in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was some of the footage that they took that from.
Yeah.
Some of it almost looked like, Toho Productions. Sometimes you know what I mean? I mean, it's just, well, carefully placed. I mean, they did really good. I mean, honestly, it's really quite good. I mean, it's really stood up to time,
Yeah.
Well, I think
again, we still have limits of foresight. No one has authority again. We got real world challenges. You got the other scientist, that doesn't want to, believe or give these guys a break. But at least this is an organic disaster. It wasn't like a man-made or disaster. So there's at least that one difference between that and the other episodes.
And we're running into the rule: Tony and Doug must be captured, or both. Yeah, like
or get thrown into a volcano. But I doubt that they were virgins. It would not have worked, probably. I thought that was funny. It's like, oh my God, this started out with that young guy. They're going to throw him into the volcano. It's just like everybody was so worried about the conquistadors and all these other populations that got conquered. But these guys were like sticking it to each other, war tribally, for decades. But,
aside from the part when they brought Tony back, I really, I'm like, I couldn't believe. I thought it was a good episode when I was a kid, but I'm looking at it now and I'm yawning.
Well, that's because you're looking at it with older eyes, and we always get a little more, what's the word? Not skeptical, but critical of things, maybe because they age differently to us. Because face it, you're a totally different person, so you're going to react totally different or think of it as totally different.
I suppose, because quite frankly, I mean, they relied too much. I'm a scientist. I mean, what kind of?
Well, we all know to follow the science doesn't
always
work, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What kind of science is it, for God's sakes? All they say is, I'm a scientist, and they're saying, well, I'm a scientist too.
That don't mean
oh, good. We could use more scientists. I mean, that was, and Ellen and the daughter, played by Ellen McRae or Ellen Burstyn, is very straight-laced, very Victorian,
very
prudish. But at the end of the episode, she gives Tony a kiss, and I thought that was funny because I mean, what, Doug chopped liver, But that was the thing I think they were pushing for the younger people to have a.
I found it. It said the volcanic footage was repurposed from an earlier 20th century Fox disaster film, including the rains of Ranchapur and Crash of Moons. I've heard of the rains of Ranchapur, but Crash of Moons is not 1955.
So. What was the name of that movie?
One was Rains of Ranchapur and the other was Crash of Moons, both 1955.
I think that was the title of this episode, Crack of Doom, wasn't it?
That's Crack of Doom, not Crash of Moons.
It's not Brigadoon, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Location. Oh, they used the Fox Studio Jungle backlot. They used it for Tarzan and even some of the Gilligan Island pilot shots.
Oh, that's funny.
The cave interiors were also reused from Lost in Space, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
I still like in the number, and I'm surprised that they never tried to fix those wobbling trees. Tony would stand against them and it would almost fall over. It was and he's like kind of leaning on it, and in the meantime, I suppose they wanted to make the impression that as the island was shaking, the trees were shaking as well, and that's a good excuse for the fact that the trees were actually
well, the shockwave went around the planet 7 times. I mean, it was just unfathomable energy. I mean, just ripping. I mean, I can't imagine. I remember when Mount St. Helens, I was in northern New York. I was waiting for the bus. I was 15 and Mount St. Helens erupted. And I remember when that had happened, I remember that ash. You could see that red in the sky over northern New York from that ash, because that's how bad the eruption was. I mean, us going, what is that? And everybody goes, well, that's the ash. It was red over New York for a while. It was crazy. So, I mean, that is just mind-boggling energy. Geology is just fucking crazy sometimes. It just is. But, I mean, that was fairly accurate. I mean, they heard it in Perth and all the way near Mauritius. Yeah, Mauritius. I mean, they heard it like it was like massive.
Just before the island blew up. But that was interesting about the international date line having been crossed, and the daughter making a mistake in her journal and saying that it was August 26th.
Right.
It was August 27th, which was the day that Krakatoa blew. Um, I wonder, in your research, Vicky, did you come up with anything regarding crossing the international date line?
No.
Or whoever, well, who was on Krakatoa? Essentially, just natives when it blew up.
Well, was it? Well, I mean, you had the UK was colonizing everything that time, and Java. Let's see, Java's over there by that
Right.
was that they were colonizing all of that back
And then
then.
Sumatra,
all of that. Indonesia, the whole Indonesian subcontinent. Yeah. So yeah, it makes sense that they would have an English or a British, scientist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Sound waves. Yeah, they said the sound waves circled the Earth 7 times. Were heard in Perth, Australia. That's wild.
That part,
really
that part made sense. It's just that they just spend too much time ranting. I've got to work. I've got to work, and they're with these crazy looking machines, and you don't know exactly what it's about. Excuse me.
Yeah, he was doing that, whatever that little thing was, or that little thing was. I was sitting there looking at it. It's like, what the heck was that? Because I took a lot of geology, and I never understood. I was sitting there. I was like, what is he doing?
I do feel Doug and Tony should have confronted the scientist a lot sooner. Like they should have knew something was up with him. Like it looked like they were going to make him more of a heel, but they don't to a degree, because it's like, okay, now we got to leave. It's
right.
Like, well, wait, you didn't want to leave, but yet you knew this whole time this volcano was going to blow.
It would have been interesting. It would have been interesting if they brought back the scientist and the daughter into the tunnel. If you want to talk about science, being a scientist, then that would be a whole new revelation to them. It's the first episode, by the way. I believe it's the first episode where they use the microphone where Kirk speaks into the audio.
Yeah.
Kirk speaks into the audio. That's the first episode that they used to try and it doesn't make sense. Oh, it never worked for us before, and all of a sudden it works. It works because they've got an audience watching it. That's why. But it was well placed. This was, to me, it was just a regular disaster. I'd give it an 8.75 because I really think those bloopers detracted from the whole thing.
Do you think do you think the producers and the directors just get sloppy and lazy sometimes?
Yeah,
because they have different producers and directors or different episodes, much the same as we see with a lot of things from back then.
Yes, yeah, I agree with you. I think that they got a little sloppy, and like I said, the only worthwhile scene is the one where he comes back into the tunnel, and
that was a good scene. It really was.
What's that?
That was a good scene where he came in there and everybody else was like frozen in between nanoseconds.
Frozen in time. They're frozen in time.
And he popped them off a note, and it's just like, wow, here they are.
That's been done before. I mean, Twilight Zone has handled stuff like that.
Yeah, they did.
What else?
Trying to think of the movie or series I saw that where they said, "Oh, you can hear the buzzing it sounds like buzzing when they're close, when they're going, because they're moving so fast you can't see them," and that's making me crazy. I know it wasn't a Marvel film. It's just making me not. But it makes me think of the Flash, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same concept.
It was Twilight Zone, and there was what other series used that?
When Dark Shadows went back to 1795, they were frozen in the present day.
Oh, that was deliberate, though. That was more while they had the
Like
they
nothing
had the
happened
announcer
when they come back.
explain what was
Yeah.
going on, and they were all frozen, and poor Roger was caught in the middle of taking a brandy or something like that.
Yeah. Well, they were actually
And
liquored up on the set, though. They were always drinking.
that
I
was
think
good.
that's funny how they all went over that decanter. I mean, how many times, especially Louis Edmonds. I mean, how many scenes Louis like right there by that decanter?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure he would have had a wonderful
God, I loved
brandy.
him. He was like one of my favorite people on that whole thing.
Yes, of course. Are we renting out Collinwood as a hotel? What's going on here, Liz?
His
Oh,
own kid kept
Roger.
trying to kill him all the time. And it
Yeah.
was funny watching him and Jonathan Frid fight for the teleprompter all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They were just all up in there, the teleprompter.
Oh, yeah.
God, I miss like that. I miss old stuff like this. I really do. I mean, I'm not knocking the new shit, but man, this just has so much more character. It just does. I mean, even with the bad, whatever you might consider bad, special effects, which aren't really that bad. It's actually, in retrospect and hindsight, kind of cool looking. I just didn't appreciate it when I was a kid so much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, what did you think, Vicki? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this episode?
Oh, I'd probably give it like an 8. I thought that I thought it was historically pretty good. I liked it. I liked how they're trying to explain tectonic plates to somebody in 1883, which would never ever be widely accepted at that point in time because no one even thought of continental drift until the 1960s. So that would have been totally way out of that guy's pay grade for one. But I mean, other than that, I thought it was really good. I would have liked a little more human drama. There wasn't a lot of human. I mean, other than throwing people in the volcano, I thought that was kind of funny. That was cliche, maybe, or maybe it was because of the time. It was the Amicus Hammer days or something, and it was just supposed to be that way, where they throw the young lad into the volcano. It's funny. That's how they started it out. But I'm gonna give it an A.
I give it like I said, I give it an 8.75 only because of that scene with Tony
That was a good
coming
scene.
back. If it weren't for that, I would have given it an 8. The rest of the story is.
But it's still the same. It's still the same. The same theme though through the whole thing. No matter how accurate they are, no matter what they do, they're always going to be powerless. In the face of nature. No matter what these. I mean, it's going to be the same thing. I mean, you are powerless. This is like a transaction. They're knowledgeable, but there's really nothing they can do about it. They cannot change nothing. That just doesn't seem like, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
I mean, that island blew up. Actually, I think some of it started rebuilding back, if I read that article correctly. But I would not want to live in that chain of islands. That's just crazy. I mean, there's always bullshit happening there. It just is.
I'm going to give this episode a 5 out of 10. Their story isn't the greatest, but
it isn't
I agree.
Yeah, I do
the
feel.
History part's cool.
You giving it a 5?
I'm giving it a 5. I think because I think it felt like when they did the other scientists, it felt like the writers couldn't decide whether they really wanted to make him a villain or not. It felt like they were leaning. Well, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, just because you have a kid doesn't mean you can't be a heel. And it felt like they were going to lean into that, but then it's like, no, they don't. And it's like, where are you going with this guy? One minute he's whatever, arguing with Tony and Doug, and the next one he's like, okay, let's get off the island. It's like he's the one guy you want to leave on the island by the end almost. But he's not that bad of a heel though either. He's not.
Well, he's somebody's father.
Villain.
Well, I do see where there's kind of confusion and tugging in the script, sort of, because he knew all along this was going to happen to some extent. Yep. And he didn't care that his daughter would be killed. Yeah. But on the same, like he's an old man, yay, he got away kind of thing. So yeah, I get that. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
I do think I do give the crew a lot of credit for selling for Doug when he Tony when he who was it? Tony who came
Tony.
back. Yeah, Tony who comes back through. Them being frozen still and blocking for him, selling their ass off was beautiful. That was a
Yeah,
beautiful scene.
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
was a great scene.
I
I
mean,
mean, when
just
he comes back and he can't. But isn't it interesting? He comes back. His clothes are dirty. Doesn't he has more than enough time to change his turtleneck into another turtleneck, to a clean turtleneck, and he doesn't do that. And then he can pick up. I mean, everything is supposed to be frozen, but he can pick up paper. He can write on the paper, and he can work the controls.
yeah,
So everything is, so the only thing that's really frozen are the people.
people. Yeah,
The
Yeah,
people.
that's weird how none of the machinery was affected or anything else. Is it just organic
And why
things that are
is
affected by time warps?
I don't know why is that, but in a time warp, everything should be affected.
Affected.
yeah,
Absolutely
That
affected.
would be a paradox.
yeah.
Well, it is it's a paradox that the people couldn't move, but everything else did. And by the way, I think Swain, John Zaramba, I think moved a little when they touched him.
He moved a little.
So that's okay because that happened on Dark Shadows too. Especially when Joan Bennett as Liz Stoddard was in bed and she was supposed to be in a coma. And then she opens up her
Oh
eyes
yeah,
to see if,
yeah.
remember that? She opens up her eyes to see if the teleprompter's working. Um, and then she closes her eyes again quickly, which is funny, and they left that in. But I think again, five is wow. So you Julie? You didn't feel the story was going anywhere?
I think from a story standpoint, if I don't mind the trope of them getting captured, but if you're going to play into a scientist who knows that the volcano is going to explode and they're stubborn in their ways,
Yeah.
go all the way with it. Because now you could say, you know what, if you do throw those guys in the volcano, maybe you will be saved. I feel like the writer's sort of pulling back on him. That's sort
Hmm.
of what, because Doug and Tony are smart. What I love about Doug and Tony is they're smart people. They're supposed to be very smart. It's sort of like I'm watching a series called QED about a guy
Especially Doug.
who's
Doug
really,
knew the whole
yeah,
history here.
about who's really smart. If you're going to play into two people being really smart, they should have been looking at him and say, they don't have to say literal bullshit, but they could look at him and say, we know you're lying. We know something's up here. Like we're not dumb. Like, you know what I mean? Like you need to, I don't mind a protagonist being a little bit of a somebody who's going to pick at your heel and go, we know you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, especially the professor
Yeah.
who lied to both of them, saying that his calculations showed that the blow up wasn't going to happen for 20 to 30 years,
Yeah.
when in actuality he knew all along
Yep.
that it was coming, and he just didn't. He was selfish and he didn't want people to know. That to me is not a very ethical scientist.
No.
Uh, nor is it good for a research study, the one that he'd want to present to the Royal Academy of whatever, to go ahead and tell them that he lied to two fellow scientists in order to keep them in the study. And I think that was, that was. I think that maybe you're right. Maybe it does deserve a five. I still like to give it a little higher mark. I think I'll
Yeah.
give it a 7.5 at this point. But there was a lot of stuff there that could have been cleaned up. It looks like they did a slapdash job on it. Don't you think?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. It wasn't one of their best ones. I loved the story though. I wish they would have done more with it. But I mean, just because of
Yeah.
there was a few scenes there I like so much. That's why I'm going to stick with the 8. I was it wasn't tight, like the other ones. This didn't come together like the other episodes before it.
Tom, I'm going to send you another movie that nobody can take seriously and nobody should. And it's not a great movie, but it is absolutely one you will laugh about. It's called Santa Jaws.
All right, here we go. We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, we were talking about Santa Jaws.
Oh, you guys are going to get me into this slasher hacker grade Z movies. I'm more used to the Universal stuff, but sure, send me what you got.
I'll send it to you.
I don't trust it now because I'm gonna have Halloween 5 notes ready just in case. I don't trust you anymore. You were gonna actually make me go through with it, and I wasn't ready.
Here's the thing: I know enough about I know everything about Halloween.
I do too. I could probably get going again, but
it was rushed into production initially. Initially, they were thinking about making Jamie Lloyd the killer, but they didn't.
True.
They didn't, but they were thinking about it. But it's a fun watch. They do a lot better job with 5 than they do 4.
Did you all watch the 50-year anniversary Jaws for shits and giggles this weekend? Okay, good boy.
I have it on 4. I threw in the 4K. I have the 4K of Jaws. So
you do?
Yeah, I threw that on.
The Blu-ray's really revealing.
Yeah,
It's like, don't let your kid watch the Blu-ray at the beginning.
Well, dude, have you seen
everything?
Have you seen both versions of Jaws: The Revenge?
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
both versions.
Yeah, there's 2 different. Yeah, there's 2 different
endings.
No, there's 2 different. And there's 2 different versions. There's a version that's the theatrical version,
right?
And there's a different televised version where in the beginning they talk about fate, and it's like, what the hell is this?
That's the one with Ellen Brody, right?
Yes,
that's right. Okay, that's right. Ellen Brody. They think the shark's taking it all personal.
Yeah, Michael Caine is a fun watch in that movie.
He is actually Michael Caine. I mean, that was a shit movie, kind of, sort of. But Michael Caine can polish a turd,
Yeah.
So,
there's no polish for Santa Jaws. I'm going to tell you right now.
No, there's no. Sort of like Corona Zombies. That doesn't get any worse. But you have to say you did it.
Yes.
Everybody has to watch Corona Zombies. That came out during Corona too. It's just like, fuck.
See, I'm gonna see. Patrick and them are making me watch QED. I'm gonna make them review Santa Jaws with me. I'm gonna get them to review.
What are they making you watch?
QED, which I don't love right now.
Why does that sound familiar?
It's a series. It's a show with that guy who was a lawyer in Law and Order, Sam something or somebody. But I'm not in love with it, so I'm gonna see if they'll review Santa Jaws with me, because it's like, if you're gonna make me sit through this, I'm gonna make you sit through Santa Jaws.
Well, if they watch this, then they're gonna know your exact position.
They're not gonna watch this. They're not gonna watch this. But maybe they will. Maybe they'll shop.
Maybe they'll pop a note underneath it on your YouTube.
What do you mean Santa Jaws? I'm like, no, it's a real thing.
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it yet, but it is entertaining.
I'll send it to you guys, Beth. It's a funny watch. It's like, Santa Jaws? Like, yeah.
That 47 meters down.
Yeah, I've seen both of them.
Unmasked 47 meters down. Your IQ will immediately lower, but you can't stop watching. So.
Yes. Is there anything you guys want to add before we go?
Yep, I'm good.
Nope, I'm good. I think they could have done better, but
it wasn't so tight. But we'll see what they got next week.
But they didn't do badly, but it wasn't one of their best efforts. I mean, when you look at the episode with Tony and his father, it's like a mile above what this episode's about.
Yeah.
Right.
With the exception of him coming back to the tunnel. That's
And
always nice to see.
if you want to check out a good, I mentioned this before, but if you want to check out a really good time traveling show too, check out Dark on Netflix.
What is it?
Dark on Netflix.
Dark. Okay. Yeah, I
Okay.
saw that, but I didn't see it. I mean, I
Yeah.
went past it. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't read the synopsis.
So next Sunday at 8,
yep.
we'll be doing.
Time
Because I'm
zone.
leaving the following day for something. But next Sunday at 8, that's the 30th, I think it is. Or that's the 29th. The 29th. So we're going to do the next episode, which is Revenge of the Gods, and we saw a little of that in the see this next week block, and it's okay, and for people who like Greek mythology, I think it's great. But we'll talk about that then. Other than that, I don't have anything further. Go ahead.
I did see that there was a Billy the Kid episode. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for Western history, so
Yeah. Oh my God. Me too. Me too. I was like Tombstone. Probably seen it like 1,000 times. I know every line. That we're gonna get along fine, me and you.
Yeah, the thing about the OK Corral too, the only nitpick I have about that with Tombstone and Wyatt Earp is there was actually snow on the ground when that took place. There was accumulation. Yeah. Nobody's got that in any of the movies. But
no, they do not.
But Wyatt Earp and Tombstone do it the most accurately. And no, Wyatt Earp.
Are you talking about the Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner?
Mm-hmm. Wyatt Earp.
That was a more Wyatt Earp than than Kurt Russell Wyatt Earp, because they don't go into why he drinks coffee all the time and stuff like that. So
And Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, neither of them killed Johnny Ringo.
No, they didn't. No, Johnny. Nope, no one killed Johnny Ringo. Johnny Ringo is like, nobody messes with Johnny Ringo's girl. But he was the perfect person to cast for Johnny Ringo. I mean, nobody could have played Johnny fucking Ringo like he did.
Not like Johnny Angel, that's for sure.
I've reviewed Wyatt Earp and Tombstone. Me and Butch Rosenbaum reviewed it, and we've covered My Darling Clementine. We've covered Hour of the Gun. It's like me and Butch have gone.
Yuma. Did you do 3:10 to Yuma yet?
Yep.
Okay, you are a true fan. Both of them, the old one and the new one.
We did them both at the same time.
Good man.
Yep. Me and Butch went through a slew of westerns, and we're like, Butch is on vacation right now, but whenever he comes back, I don't know what he's gonna pick because it's his turn to pick. So I'm excited what he's gonna pick. But yeah, Link. First of all, thank you both so much. This was a lot of fun.
Always.
Link to the Literary License podcast will be in the description box, and I'm sending you guys a link for Santa Jaws.
Oh, and by the way, I just started watching Wild Wild West.
There you go.
And
what, the original?
The original.
My grandfather loved that show. I remember it. I was
good.
So nice back then, even I love steampunk anything.
You're doing that on as part of your podcast, aren't you?
The Wild Wild West. Yeah, we did one episode so far.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
I heard there was are you going to do the movie?
I don't want to do the movie.
Is that sort of like
the movie's as good as the TV series?
Well, have you seen it?
Yeah,
I think I saw the movie. I think the TV show is better.
You deserve an award. You sat through that garbage.
Well, it was a rainy day. I mean, I sometimes I got a mentality if someone went to. I mean, there's some good special effects.
Yeah.
It was nothing like the series, but I mean, it wasn't deplorable. What was that other thing I watched? There was all these cities. There were cities. They're oh my God!
I gotta see it again.
But they were cities, but you drove them. What the hell Oh, the name of that movie. There's all these cities on wheels. Oh my God. I know you probably, I'll find it. I'll send you the link. It's going to make me crazy. And it was a steampunk movie and it was just crazy weird. Okay. I'll send it to you. You'll like it.
Yeah.
You've probably seen it. And I'm just giving you a really bad description because I need more coffee.
It's crazy because I've seen like a bunch of crazy shit. So it's like, I'll watch basically anything that anybody sends me. So, again, I'll see you guys Sunday. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Okay, guys. Y'all stay safe.
Bye.
See you next week.